Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at some tournament results with set 10 decks. There have been a couple tournaments and we can see here on Inkdex there are only 6 currently listed. But CardGo on CCQ was the biggest with over 200 participants. There are still not nearly all the decks here, but we can look at the top 3 decks and see what they have been playing and maybe get some idea on where this new meta is headed. So yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so here we have the first place deck. It's an Emerald Sapphire list and looks to be on the control side, and we see a lot of familiar cards here with the Blurple shift line, with the Basil, but we do see some new additions. First off, we have the new Cinderella, the 4-cost ramp card. That can allow this deck to ramp to 6 pretty easily. And then we do see the new Malicious, Mean and Scary card that allows Prince Philip also to be a board wipe, so that is interesting. But what is more interesting is we don't see the 3-cost Prince Philip, so we only have the 9-cost, so no shifting to be done here. But I guess this deck can go up in mana pretty easily, especially with the Cinderella. And we see some Donald Ducks for additional ramp, so yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you don't want to spend card slots on the shift targets. And yeah, otherwise, yeah, the only other new card here seems to be the Spooky Sight, which puts all characters with cost 3 or less into their player's inkwell. That is not surprising here, since this deck wants to ramp, but it doesn't really care about the only cards that it hits here in this list is Clarabelle and Hippo, and you don't really care about those going to your inkwell at the point you're playing it, but you do want some reliable way of wiping out aggressive decks boards, so that makes sense at 3 copies. And yeah, so there's basically 2 board wipes. There's the Prince Philip route, which comes in a bit later since there's no shift line here. And then there's the Spooky Sight that can come on turn 4 at the earliest. So if you ramp on 2, then ramp on 3, then you can play it on turn 4, possibly. So that is early enough to matter. So yeah, otherwise it looks to be playing the pretty common cards like Donald Duck and John Silver, which we've seen in this list in the last set 2. Also Basil, Hades at 2 copies, Vision of the Future, 1 Bend to My Will, which is, I think it is correct to play at least 1 in this list because it is so good against control lists when you get to play it early. And yeah, the usual control tools like Matanos Best, You're Welcome. Also 2 copies of Max Goof, which I don't think we saw that much in the set 9 meta with this list. Though I'm not an expert in this list, but I don't think I saw it that much, so that is pretty interesting that it's now included, even though there's only 1 new target for it, like the Malicious, Mean and Scary, but I guess that is a card you want to have access to at a later point too, so makes the Prince Philip combo more consistent. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And not really surprising this list won this event, because this list is not that different from the set 9 deck, so it's already like proven to be good in last meta, and it got some obvious tools to add, and yeah, interesting to see if this list will stay similar or like can compete later on we go into the set, but I don't really see why not. The Cinderella fits this deck wonderfully, and yeah, I guess let's see what the second place list was. Okay, in second place we have Zaro playing Blurple, and again we see another deck that was dominating last meta, just adding some new cards. I think especially for this early on for the CCQ, there was probably not even possible to get all the cards needed to play for some players or for most players. So this list might not be optimized even to the players' liking. Like we have a lot of one-offs, which I don't think will be the case once we go on like a few weeks in the future when we see tournament results. But yeah, let's see what this deck was playing. So we have 7 1-drops, Basil, Rafiki, Royal Guard, so that is pretty common, though I think in last set it was more common to just play 3 Rafiki and 4 Basil, or even 6 copies, but yeah, I think Royal Guard saw less play as the last set was winding down. Yeah, then we see Tipo, we see Sail, then we see Demona. That is pretty interesting that we see the Forgos Demona, because that was not really a card that saw much hype around it at all, pretty much because it's just pretty basic. It's a 4/6 that has Challenger 2. It's basically a Yago that doesn't have Evasive, but also doesn't have Vanish. So maybe it is a safer card in that way. And yeah, so pretty interesting, and only 2 copies. Then we have also Dolores at 2 copies, which is interesting also. Genie we see at 4, which I like. Dumbo at 1, I think that is odd. I guess there was just no space, but I find it interesting that they're playing Dumbo at 1, but Demona at 2. I would probably value Dumbo more myself, but maybe this deck just has more draw than it needs. Okay, yeah. Then Madame Mim Elephant, Belle, Elsa, pretty common stuff. Then we see 1 copy of Hades, the new Hades, that when you play it, you may choose an opposing character, and if you do, then you draw 2 cards unless they bottom the card. I think this would probably be played at more copies as well if they had access to it, but maybe they only had access to 1. So yeah, that is pretty solid card. And then we see Ursula also at 1. That we saw a couple Blurple lists play Ursula in the last sets too, so that's not too surprising. Then we see this other Ursula, the Whisperer, that is a 4/5 that has boost 1, and if you boost it, it gets +1 lore and evasive. So I think that is a strong card in a vacuum, and it's pretty safe card in like this early meta when you don't necessarily have like 100% idea on what is going to be good. Then a card like this makes sense because it's just solid on its own and it's sinkable. So yeah, I like the addition. Then we see the basic stuff: Hades, Big Elsa, Monstro, Hypnotic Strength, and Vision. When everybody's got a weakness, 4 into the unknown, 2 second star. And then we see this new item, the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, that says exert, pay 1, banish this, and draw 2 cards. Which I think it's kind of like a Friends on the Other Side replacement. And yeah, like it draws 2 cards. It isn't a song, but it's still, you can see it as 3 mana, draw 2, and you can spread out paying the cost. Like you can pay the 2 and play it, and then only draw the cards next turn if you don't have the ink. So it's pretty flexible in that way. It's interesting that there's no Tomato in this list, so they didn't commit like fully to this guidebook. They only played 2 copies and didn't play like 4 and play some Tomato, which I think is also an option for this deck. But yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning is there. I think you could maybe cut some of these one-offs and like go with that plan, but yeah, okay. Then we have the third place list, the Steel Amethyst by Frank Carsten. And yeah, this also was a color that was very good in last set, so it is not surprising to see like the old decks like just adding some new cards and doing well in the first tournament. And yeah, and these all seem to do that in some way. Though this looks to have a bit more new cards, if I'm seeing right. So the one drops seem to be the same as last set, just spreading like 4 different options, but still all cards we have seen before. Then we have this 2-cost Black Heron. That's a 3/3, so that's just an upgrade on all the vanillas before. So that is just a solid card in this list that wants to curve out. Then we have 3 Timothy Mouses, which is interesting because I don't think that was too common of a choice in this list earlier, like in the last set, but I might be mistaken. But yeah, there's a lot of evasives, so maybe it makes a bit of sense. Then we have one of these Violet Hyperwings, which is just the same as the like Ruby Vanellope, but now you can play a 3/1 evasive in Amethyst as well. And this deck really wants to do that because it's playing for Dumbo. So that's pretty nice. I probably would play like 4 of these rather than adding 3 of these Timothy Mouses, but yeah. Interesting. Then we have 2 of these new Cheshire Cats that are basically Bell, but I guess a bit more flexible, and you can do it multiple times. So yeah, you can move 2 damage every time you boost. Yeah, then we have 1 copy of Genie, 4 Giant Cobra, and then 3 of these Lexingtons. That's a new 4/4 with Alert and the Stone by Day. That is just a better Genie, or not necessarily better, because you can draw cards with the Dumbo effect with it, but being a 4/4 that can contest evasives is super relevant because this Genie, the 2/4 Genie, is still super relevant in the meta, so Lexington is a very good counter to that. So I would probably play just 4 of those rather than playing the 1 Genie. Then we see 1 White Rose, 4 Tinkerbell, I guess just to add more evasives for the Dumbo. Then yeah, 4 Dumbo, 4 Genie, 4 Elsa. Then 3 of these new Hades. That is a card I liked in this, I think, because usually at that point of the game you're either you probably want the card draw anyway, because you're planning to play 1 creature or 1 character each turn, so you're probably running out of cards. And if they choose to bottom their best card, then that's fine as well, because you will just quest out. So the Hades fits this deck, I think, really well. Only 1 Demona, which is interesting because I think the Demona would be a fine place for this like deck as well. Like this deck would suit it because this looks to curve out, and then this deck is playing some big creatures that can take good challenges, and the Demona's Exert ability helps do that, but maybe they only had access to 1 copy, and it is hard to find space sometimes. So maybe 4 copies would be overkill. So maybe I could see it as like a 2 of in a deck like this. And then we have 4 strength and 1 copy of He Hurled This Thunderbolt. You probably don't want to play 4 of the Thunderbolt because it is uninkable. But yeah, the Thunderbolt is a nice addition. 1 more removal card to control the board. And the deity tag does affect the Hades at least, so there is maybe some upside sometimes to that, though it is probably like maybe once in a tournament you get use of the Challenge 2 ability. But yeah, looks to be pretty like safe lists. Like every one of these color combinations was played in the last set too. So yeah, only thing that is missing here is like Ember Steel, and then we would have like all the top decks of the last meta. But yeah, in the top 3 we have like all the common last set decks. But that's probably just due to people not having access to the new cards that well yet, and also there's not really a certainty around like all the cards that how good they are, and there's not been like too much testing yet. So yeah, people went with safe choices, and that shows. So yeah, and that's pretty much the video. I do have a small update that I did post on the like YouTube community post, but that probably wasn't seen maybe by a lot of people because I'm not sure how YouTube pushes those. But basically, I did get some gifts from Ravensburger to open on video. But I did an opening where I opened a display box, but the audio wasn't on, so it is a pretty boring video when you look at a booster opening and there's no audio. So that got a bit messed up. But I do have a display box that I ordered myself that I can do a video on. So I will at least do a one box opening for this set on this channel. But huge thanks to Ravensburger for sending me all those gifts. There were some playmats as well, and a starter deck, and a collector set thingy. I will be probably giving those out in a giveaway at some point, but I will look for a suitable time to do that. But yeah, that's the update. The booster box opening is probably going to be sometime this week. This video should be up on Monday, so later in the week. And I will probably do some of the new decks I've been cooking up as well, another video on those. So see you then. Bye.